there was a guy and a girl sitting underneath a tree in a bush, right? And she was telling, she said, man, I'm hungry. I don't want to go to bed this hungry. And the guy said, don't worry, honey. God will show up. And 5 minutes later, who's rolling down the alley in the white van, but two Act Ministries.
Come on, man.
Say, hey, you need something to eat? And they just started crying. And it's just, there's so many stories. And that's not us. That's God.
Come on.
That's like God leading us down this alley at that certain time, right after that lady said, and that guy said, don't worry, God will show up. And it's a beautiful thing.
Do you think anything is possible inside of Sin City, Las Vegas? I believe what God is doing is that he's bringing people together under the spirit of unity to display that anything and everything is possible through him. This is Las Vegas United. Well, hello and welcome to Las Vegas United. I have on my Mr. Rogers sweater, so I want to welcome you to the neighborhood. Hey, I'm your host, Dauda Presley, and once again, if you're watching from King 17, we welcome you. If you're watching from YouTube, we welcome you just the same. If you are watching from YouTube, we always say this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, also hit the bell, so that way when we go live, you get notified. Come on. We want to make sure that you are part of the neighborhood. So welcome. Hey, also too, speaking part of the neighborhood, can you do me a huge favor? Can you help me welcome Ron Cornell from Act Ministries? What's going on, my friend?
Good to be here.
Come
so
on,
good
man.
To be here, yeah.
It's so good to have you, bro. I've known you for some time now, man, and it's been nothing but less than just glorious, man. So here's the part. I know you. I've known you for a good while. We go back some years, man. I remember coming over to Hope Chapel back in the day. It's been a little bit, right? So, but I know you. My family knows you. However, some of our viewers, they don't know you. Can you let our viewers know who Ron Cornell is?
Well, I mean, just very briefly, I mean, as a child, I had a very troubled childhood. I started drinking and doing drugs and running the streets at like the age of 10 or 11. Before the age of 18, I'd already committed like over 20 felonies, spent many years in juvenile detention centers. And so it was, I never would blame my mom, but, you know, my mom went through a divorce and she started drinking a lot, and there was a lot of stuff going on at the house that pushed me to that, you know, to that. Plus I was getting bullied in school. Yeah. So there was a lot of things going on in my life as a child that just led me down that road of, you know, drug addiction. But at the age of 18, I actually got my life together a little bit, you know, because I got out of jail when I was 18. They let me go. I actually got married and started staying sober for a little while. But without Jesus, you know, I just went right back to drinking Cisco in the basement. And then I got divorced and I ended up on the streets again in Iowa, where I was born and raised. And then at the age of 24, that's when my street life began. And it didn't stop until the age of 40.
Oh, man.
So I spent many years running the streets. It was 17 years here in Vegas that I was homeless.
Oh, wow.
In the downtown area.
Yeah.
And at the age of 40, there's a God story of how I got off the streets, but I mean, I can go over that if you want. But
let's hear it. We love some God story, because this is what it's about, man. It's about the movement of God in people's lives and the city. So yes, we want to know.
It was God chasing me down, man. Come on. So there was this guy, Joe Lupo, right? I used to hang out in the downtown area by the courthouse. He used to run papers for a lawyer. So he saw me all the time on the streets. For years, he would always help me and love on me and buy me cup of noodle soups and all this stuff. And one day he said, Ron, I'll take you to McDonald's if you just let me take you up to the rescue mission and show you the place, because they can help you. And I said, I'd do anything for McDonald's. So I said, sure, yeah, you know, I mean, so.
Them fries are bomb, man.
It was breakfast sauce.
Oh, man, look, the hash browns just the same.
Hash brown sausage, yeah. So he took me up to the rescue mission. I saw the crosses and I saw the verses, and I found out it was a Christian-based program. And I said, absolutely not. I said, there's no way that I'm going to do a program like this. And the reason being is because at that time, my mentality was I hated God. I didn't want anything to do with him. And I actually blamed him for everything that was going on in my life. Because, you know, I at that time, I didn't know anything about the Lord. You know, I just knew that I didn't want to be here and that I was, I really hated God.
Yeah.
But the crazy part is, so after I left, Joe, he was really nice. Said, okay, well, when you get ready, call me,
Yeah.
I mean, God, such a servant's heart. He told me, he said, Ron, the Lord told me to help you and to go above and beyond for you. And he really did for years. Anyone else would have said, after the rescue mission thing,
We're done.
Yeah, we're done. This guy's, but he didn't. He said, well, you get ready to call me. But the crazy part is after that, things started happening on the streets. Because before that, I was doing okay, panhandling, getting high, doing my thing. But after that incident of going up to the rescue mission, all of a sudden I wasn't allowed on the Fremont Street Experience anymore. This one security guard put my picture in the break room, and he made sure every shift knew that I wasn't allowed anywhere near there. And that's where I used to make my money. And the cops were waking me up. One time I woke up with one shoe, another time I woke up with no shoes. And I was just, and I couldn't deal with it anymore.
Yeah.
And then 3 months later after that, I called Joe. I said, I'm ready.
Wow.
And I went to the rescue mission, had to go through detox for 7 days, went to the rescue mission, and there was a girl at one of the chapel services from YWAM. Went up and gave her testimony, and she talked about how she was sexually and physically and mentally abused, and how she had this rough life, and how Jesus got her through all that. And I'm sitting in the pews thinking, wow, this girl has been through 10 times worse than I ever have, and she's talking about how Jesus got her through it. And the pastor got up and gave a gospel message, and man, I gave my life to the Lord that night, man. And I'll tell you, after that, I started reading the Bible, asking questions at Bible study.
Come on.
I was still cussing and wanted to stop cussing, and so, I mean, my life literally changed at the rescue mission.
Come on.
And then 2 years after that, I was in sober living for a while. And that's when Act Ministries got started while I was in sober living. Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Dude, that's a story that's a story that I pray that somebody receives hope from that.
I really do. Because, the Bible clearly says that God is the one that draws us. But, I mean, he chased me down.
Come on.
I truly believe that he allowed those things to happen. Because he's like, you want to be on the streets, this is what it's going to be like. Because I got something else for you.
Come on.
And man, I'll tell you, thank God for Joe. He passed away now, but thank God for the Lord using Joe in that way. Because if it wasn't for God using him, I wouldn't be here today. I would probably be dead. Because I overdosed on heroin 7 different times. And 3 times I was dead when the paramedics found me. So there's one God story in that too.
So now you're hearing, and God is really now shifting everything. Just really quick, like what did that look like? Because I really feel as though maybe somebody might be watching and they may have a loved one that is struggling with addiction, and they're like, I'm trying, I'm doing everything I can, but it's like there's no change, or like we've put them in this rehab and there's no change. Like what with you there at the rescue mission? Like what truly happened that you were like, you know what? Besides the girl from YWAM and the message, like obviously there was some stirring before you even got to that. Like what was going on in Ron that was like, yeah, no, there's something different about this whole God thing.
Number one, it was my mom. Last time I called my mom, she told me, don't call me anymore, and she wouldn't take my calls, any kind of, she just wouldn't take them, wouldn't talk to me, didn't want anything to do with me, and I understood that. But like 1 month after I'm at the rescue mission, my mom was calling around looking for, to see how I was and see if I was still alive, but here's the thing. The first number she called was the Las Vegas rescue mission. And she talked to Pastor Jeff there, and she said, I'm looking for my son. I'm just wondering if he might have came through to get something to eat. I just want to see if he's okay, and how he's doing. And he said, oh, he's in our program here. He's been clean and sober now a month and a half. And so that's when my mom started. She emailed me and said, hey, Ronnie, how you doing? Wow. And the fact that she was just willing to have a relationship with me again, and then the fact that she called the rescue mission first, because she was going to call the hospitals and the jails. Right. She was really trying to look for me. And I believe that God was stirring her heart to do that. It was just, the reconciliation that me and my mom had. Yeah. It was really, it was really powerful to do that. And I also saw there was a guy named Tim. He was, we used to get high together on the streets. and he was in the rescue mission talking about Jesus, and then, man, I'm sober now, I'm doing great.
Come on.
And I'm like, man, you know, we used to get high together, and so there were so many things going on that at the rescue mission that, man, and then the story, the testimony, and and Pastor Jeff, the way he would. You know, that's why it's good to require people to go to Bible studies and chapel services, because it was Pastor Jeff talking about the Bible and Jesus and all these things. I mean, I was learning so much. I mean, God just got a hold of my heart. Yeah. I mean, he really did. And when I received the Holy Spirit, everything just changed. I mean, it really did. I've never been the same since that day.
Yeah.
I mean, but thank God for the rescue mission. I mean, thank God for Joe. Thank God for him using my mom to get a hold of me, because that really pushed me to want to stay on track and stay sober, and to do the right thing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we always have problems in our life, and there's two choices we can make. And this is what Pastor Jeff, he said, you have two choices. You can turn to the world, or you can turn to Jesus. And he said, you need to turn to Jesus at every incident that happens in your life, every trial, and because things are going to happen.
Yes.
And I've been through a lot. I mean, but every time I didn't choose the world, I choose Jesus, and that has caused me to stay the straight and narrow path. Even when my mom passed away, and when Joe passed away, and I just always just stayed the straight and narrow path.
Come on, man. And the work that you're doing, can I just say this to you, Ron? And the work that you're doing is extending the legacy of Joe.
Yeah, it is. And his family, his daughter just loves, I mean, she talks about me and she's not even a believer, but she just talks about me all the time. She gives her the ministry every month, and she always talks about how Joe was instrumental in getting me out the streets.
Yeah.
And afterwards, we would always have dinner. He met my wife. Joe saw me get baptized at the rescue mission. He saw me get married, and he met my wife. I mean,
he lived life with you,
man. He did, man. I'm telling you, he did. I mean, and it's just a beautiful thing, and that's kind of like what I want now in the ministry. We'll talk about the housing project later, but we do a lot of witnessing and providing for the homeless.
Yes.
Recently, we just had the opportunity to start discipling people, and so
come on,
it's a beautiful thing,
yes,
and because that's what I just want to walk along some people and see them get their life together and praise Jesus through it all, and have dinner with them, 3 or 4 years down the road, and say,
I love that so much, bro. And it's one of those deals. I was praying last week, and I really felt the Father. I was thinking about the whole prodigal son story, right? Yeah. And I was thinking about myself as well, right? And I was like, Lord, why'd you even wait for someone like me? Like, why'd you wait? And I was like, I abandoned you, and what I really felt with the Father was like, well, I met the prodigal son. I met the younger son out there. I met you out there, so you never had to come back to an empty home. And I think that's the biggest part, that the Father never wants us to come to an empty home, right? Yeah. And so you think for your mom to reach out for you and to look for you, right? And it's like now you guys have this relationship together. Why? Because the Father was like, you're not going to come home to an empty home. We're going to meet you right where you are, and that's just the heart of the Father. That's just the heart of God. I'm going to meet you right where you are, whether you felt abandoned or not abandoned, because guess what? No matter what the situation is, I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. I will be right there with you through and through. Man, so dude, your story just really encourages me. Like
God does, man. I'm telling you, man, the Lord will meet you right where you're at, and he will transform you through the power of the Holy Spirit. I mean, right? Addicted, running, hating God, and just like, I mean, it just shows the love of the Father. It really does, because I mean, I didn't want anything to do with him, and yet he chased me down, and I mean, oh gosh, that's just something that only the Father can do.
Yeah, he's like, I don't want nothing to do with you. He's like, but I want everything to do with you.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's so good. So here's the part. So now you say, hey, you're in, you know what I'm saying? You're in a rescue mission, and you're like, hey, I'm here, and 2 Act Ministries is birthed. What is 2 Act Ministries?
Well, it started with 5 people from the rescue mission, me, Dave, Cindy, Brandon, and Chris, and we were having, Bible studies every week and breaking bread, and so we decided to go every month to go try to help the homeless. But while I was in sober living, I was in a lot of prayer. I wanted to do something for God.
Yeah.
Not out of a works-based thing, just out of love. Because, I said, Lord, I want to do something for you, but I don't know what it is, And so I didn't hear a direct voice, of course, but I mean, it would not leave my heart to go back to the same streets I came from to tell people about what Jesus did for me. That's what I kept getting for the longest time. And so, and here's the crazy part is, so I went to Dave and I said, I'd like to go downtown and, bring out some socks and sandwiches and tell people, what Jesus has done.
Right.
And he said, that's crazy. I was thinking about going downtown with my guitar and playing music for the people out there on the streets and tell them about Jesus. So that's when 2 Act Ministries got birthed. And so it started with 30 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and 30 pairs of socks once a month, where we would go out and minister to the homeless and, right downtown and tell them all about what Jesus has done for us. But then after a while, I learned that not everyone out there on the streets is an addict or addicted or drinking.
Right.
That a lot of them are just out there situationally. So that's when I started working on resources for the homeless, and I've been learning about resources and walking the road of trying to figure it out.
Right.
And to try to help people who are not addicted. So now I can help people who have addiction problems, and I try to help families, and I try to help anybody who just needs housing advice or whatever it may be. So, but that's how 2 Act Ministries was birthed. It was just out of what the Lord was putting on my heart to do, and He has grown the ministry in leaps and bounds since 2010. So we did the sandwiches and socks for about a couple of years.
Yeah.
We were even in the Review Journal a while back.
Come on, man.
Where the title said, "Former homeless man is now helping the homeless," and they rode around with us on an outreach. And so that was pretty cool. After that, things really started growing after that. But that was definitely a God story, too.
Come on, man.
Yeah. Because we didn't call the paper. He heard about us and said, "Hey, I'd like to do a story on what you guys are doing."
Yeah.
So, and that's how 2 Act Ministries was born. And
you guys do outreach, right? So what does outreach with 2 Act Ministries look like? Because there are churches that's doing outreaches. There are different nonprofits doing outreaches. What does 2 Act Ministry? Because, bro, I've seen your work, but I want other people to hear how you and 2 Act Ministries, how you guys do outreach and what that looks like.
So I know from experience that it takes a few times to be at the same place with the same people doing the same thing, like it was with Joe. He was consistent, and he never gave up on me. So we usually pick a park. We were at Mulaski Park for a couple of years. We got 8 people off the streets out of there, but it didn't happen right away. We were going there every month, and as relationships were built, as they started to trust us, I said, "Hey, I know of a place where you can go to get some help, or if you need a ticket home, or let me know how I can help you." And so we worked on that for a couple of years, and it worked very, very well. So now we're at Lorenzi Park, where we're trying to build relationships there, because they had closed Mulaski Park down because, the drug problems and everything. But so anyway, we're down there now trying to build relationships. But I pass out flyers, let everyone know we're going to be there with blankets and stuff. So the items will bring the people, but we have them come in and sit down. We give them hot chocolate or water. We have them sit down.
Right.
We sing a worship song, like this. For the Christmas, we're gonna sing a Christmas song. Then I give a 5-minute gospel message with my little PA system.
Right.
And then we have them come up and get everything they need. And then we have a prayer table, and we have people who sit down and talk with them and try to find out what their situation is. And that's when we start working on getting them off the streets. Because a lot of people have family that they can go to. They just have no way of getting there. A lot of people have drug and alcohol problems, and they don't, feel like there's any kind of hope. And I always tell them my story. I said, listen, I was an addict for 17 years. I'm from the streets.
Yeah.
And God did a mighty thing in my life, you know. And yes, I had to spend 7 days in detox. Yes, I had to go through a program. Yes, I had to spend 3 or 4 years in sober living.
Yeah.
I said, but now I'm married and I have a house.
Come on.
And God has done a mighty thing in my life. And if he can do it for me, he can do it for you. And I believe it gives them a sense of hope.
Yes.
And I have this flyer, this pamphlet that has my old picture on there and the new picture. And people look at that and they're like, there's no way that's you. I said, yeah, that was me. That was me when I walked into the doors of the rescue mission. And the newer picture's like a big old smile, and you can just see Jesus and the Holy Spirit all in there.
Yes, sir. Come on, man.
And that pamphlet's got my testimony on there and Bible verses to go with it. And then we also have a gospel track. And on the front of the gospel track, it says, there is a place where there's no homelessness, no pain, no suffering. And it talks about heaven. Yeah. And it has the gospel on there. So I particularly put that together for the homeless because, you know, it has on there.
Yeah.
There's a place where there's no homelessness. And it really let me read more about this. I could only imagine the amount of people who've given their lives to the Lord through, you know, what God has put on my heart to, you know, to do. And the gospel tracks was from the Lord. Everything has come from the Lord. But,
come on, man.
And we also do mobile outreaches. We do outreach at the transitional housing, at the roadway.
Okay.
So we do a lot of outreach.
Come on, man. I've reached out to you. I'm like, hey, man, I have a person, and you're like, okay, what do they need? Like, and I'm like, hey, they don't have an ID. You're like, oh yeah, go ahead and get them this number right here. We'll take care of them. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, and that's the part. It's like when we have someone that knows exactly what they're doing. You've been there. You've been obviously without an ID. You've been needing resources, and it's like, hey, I know exactly where to take them. I know exactly what I need to say to them to get them to respond to the help that they really, really need. Now the rest is up to them. You know, you say you got to be really kind and respectful when you go there. And if you're kind and respectful to the people, they'll be more motivated to help you. Because some of the organizations are Christ-based and some of them are not. Right. So if you go in there being rude and, you know, so I try to always tell them, you know, how to go about walking through this process because it is a process. And there's no like, make one phone call and then you're off the streets. You know? Sometimes it takes a little time. Yeah. Now, and so you say, hey, we get you the resources and we get you this transition. There's something that I knew that you had spoke about years ago, and now it has come to fruition. Yeah. And it's the housing that you've always wanted to do. Can you tell our viewers about the housing that God has blessed you with? It has to be God doing the work, right? And I'll tell you, the craziest part is, you know, my boss had a part in this, and another gentleman with Sober Homies, he had a big part in helping me to do this. So there was a house that was closing down, and Paul said, hey, I'm going to recommend you to take over this unit, right? And it's a fourplex, so there's 4 units, 4 2-bedroom, 1-bath units, and the owner, him and his son are both pastors. And they told Paul, they said, listen, we want to use this house for God's kingdom. We don't want to just rent it out. Right. And he said, I got the perfect guy for you. And so he got a hold of me. I met them. We signed the lease. Yeah. And so now we have 4 units that we can use for housing the homeless. So it is for anyone who is homeless or at risk of becoming homeless. We take them in. You know, we have washers and dryers, and, you know, we get them all nice and cleaned up, and we require them, you know, ahead of time to know, hey, you know, we go to church on Sunday mornings, and we have Bible studies on Friday night right there at the complex. And Unit B is set up. We have a great big old sectional in Unit B, so everyone that's come down on Friday night for food and fellowship and Bible study every Friday night. So we require that, and then we require them to pass a drug test. Only because if they have drug or alcohol problems, there's other places I could take them that are like the rescue mission, like the Salvation Army, where they can get the help that they need. So this is more of a transitional for people who do not have drug or alcohol problems, and people who want to learn about the Lord and follow the Lord and be discipled. So it's more of a discipleship, Christian housing program is what it is. Come on, man, that's so good. And so here's a part. In our last closing moments here, I have a question for you. How can people either sow in to Act Ministries, come alongside of, 2 Act Ministries, or even be part of and help you inside 2 Act Ministries, how can they get a hold and get information about you guys?
Well, definitely call me and get a hold of me. I mean, we need people to bring food down to the guys down there. I mean, we had volunteers bring Thanksgiving dinner to them down there, and it shows the love of Christ. I mean, one guy told me, he says, I've been in transitional living before. He said, but I've never had anybody offer laundry detergent, hygiene, and have people come down and feed us and love on us. Yeah. And he loves it there. He said, I don't want to transition. He said, I'm just going to live here. But anyway, definitely get a hold of me, because we need people to help us with outreach. We need people to pray, because, I mean, prayer is so powerful. I mean, if you can't give or if you can't go out, I mean, I have lots of people that are praying for the ministry, because I'm telling you, it's not me that does the work. It's God that has to do the work. Yeah. And that's done through the power of prayer, you know. So prayer, man, just pray for the ministry. Pray for the homeless. Pray for the message to reach open hearts and open minds. Because we before we go on an outreach, we always like pray for about 20, sometimes 30 minutes. Each of us pray, you know, before we go out. Yeah. And that provides an opportunity for God to show up, because we say, you know, Lord, keep the devil away from this outreach.
Come on now.
You know,
yes, sir.
And may the word reach open hearts and open minds, because, you know, we rely on God 100% to do the work, because I don't want to do anything under my own will or my own, you know, strength. You know, I want God to be doing the work, because then we see God happening. Yeah. And there are so many God stories, right? Just there was a guy and a girl sitting underneath a tree in a bush, right? And she was telling, she said, man, I'm hungry. I don't want to go to bed this hungry. And the guy said, don't worry, honey. God will show up. And 5 minutes later, who's rolling down the alley in the white van, but 2 Act Ministries.
Come on, man.
Say, hey, you need something to eat. And they just started crying. And it's just, there's so many stories. And that's not us. That's God. Come on. That's like God leading us down this alley at that certain time, right after that lady said, and that guy said, don't worry, God will show up. And it's a beautiful thing. It really is. So we need a lot of help. I mean, prayer, people to bring food. I mean, the park outreaches and the transitional, I mean, we feed about 60 to 80 people on every outreach. And I have one dedicated volunteer that's always in charge of food, and she loves doing that, but she could use some help bringing food. And I mean, just get a hold of me. I mean, we definitely will find something for you. Come on, man. For sure.
Oh, absolutely. I love it. I love it, man. Ron, thank you for coming up on here, man, and telling us about 2 Act Ministries, bro. My prayer is that the Lord continues to provide exactly what it is that you guys need over there as well. And so also too, for our viewers, we want to thank you guys for tuning in this evening. Hey, once again, make sure that if you want to help out, see a need, fill a need. See a need, fill a need. And what better way to do that than to go ahead and partner with ministries like 2 Act Ministries and go ahead and go out and reach and love on the people of our city. Hey, once again, we thank you guys for tuning in for Las Vegas United, and we'll catch you guys on our next episode. We'll see you soon.
Our show is hosted by Pastor Dauda Presley from Connection Church LV. To learn more about him and his ministry, please visit myconnectionlv.org. The guest this week is Ron Cornell from 2 Act Ministries. For more information, please visit 2actministries.org. Thanks for watching our broadcast. Las Vegas United is produced by CTNVegas. For more information about CTNVegas and our show, please visit ctnvegas.com.